Hello, 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 my friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. As always, if you are here, please kindly put a like, say hello, and share the video on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, if you are indeed on that social platform, social network. Um, Yesterday and the day before that, and the day before that, I published several updates in regards to Bitcoin and XRP and my general take on the market. And I'll be publishing an Ethereum market update soon here on Patreon. If you want to join, follow that link and you can join. Uh, Either way, if you're here, say hello and drop a like so I know that you're present. Don't be shy, guys. Let's basically have a quick talk about what's going on in the market. Uh, as always, whenever Bitcoin is down 50%, uh, it's time to start accumulating in this cycle. In previous cycles, since the crashes were bigger, we had to wait for a bigger percentage crash, starting at 65 or 60%, all the way down to 80%. But since crashes are diminishing, we start buying earlier. So in this market cycle, we're buying in the 50% crash down to the 66% crash. So in that range, Bitcoin has crashed 55%. Time to start accumulating. Same thing goes for Ethereum. It has dropped well enough to start accumulating. And same thing goes for XRP. It has dropped well enough to start accumulating. And so I'm 50% in the market. And now, since I'm 50% in the market, I'm looking to allocate the other 50%. I'm looking for buying opportunities. In order for me to see good buying opportunities, I either need to see a bottom formation come in, which I'm looking for, which I discuss repeatedly on Patreon. And it looks like the bottom formation is forming on Bitcoin. We're in the last phase. What we have been discussing for the past 8 months has played out pretty much perfectly. If you remember, you know exactly what I'm referring to. That setup is working very well. We just uh, probably need one more new low, and that's it. But maybe that new low is already in. We'll see. We need to see basically what happens next after the lower low is built. Percentage-wise, we're not there. Therefore, the probability is quite high that we're still going to go tank lower. There might be bounces along the way. As always, remember that throughout all previous market cycles, we have had bounces where people said the bottom is in and then would crash again. The bounce would retrace and we would find a new low, find our footing there and make and build our bottom there or somewhere close to that, right? So yeah, here I am looking for buying opportunities primarily with the XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. These are the coins that interest me the most. I will be, of course, buying more altcoins, but I first want to see uh, a bottom come in before I start buying them, because as you well know, in previous cycles, whenever Bitcoin bottom came in, all still crashed 20, 30, and sometimes even like 35% in the past. And in my previous cycle, even 40%, I think even 50%. So yeah, I'm referring to like my last cycle. So even when the Bitcoin bottom came in, alts could still crash 20, 30% basically. So it will probably be a smaller difference this time, but it's still like possible, something like 20%. So I want to see first a bottom come in and or new lows, right? So so far we know that roughly 4-year cycles have been working. If you've seen the chart that we've been referring to for a while now, back from 2022, you know that it predicted the top. Not only the top, it predicted when the top would happen, and that's October 2025, and that's precisely what happened. Absolutely nobody predicted that back in the day. That is going to happen in October 2025 on $126,000. That's exactly what the chart predicted. The chart is very straightforward. It's simple. The thinking behind it is simple. Roughly 4-year cycle, diminishing returns, diminishing crashes, and a pattern with percentages that basically helps you understand more or less where the top is going to come in. And that's exactly what we're going to use for this cycle. But we'll get to that once it's time to start talking about taking profits years down the road. For now, basically, I'm just here to talk about accumulating. I'm here to talk about diversification. Make sure that you're active. Make sure that you haven't lost interest, because Bitcoin will eventually make a new all-time high. Some other coins will make a new all-time high. There will be some great gains in the bull market for some coins. Of course, some coins are going to do nothing and go to zero and never recover, but some coins are going to do well, and some coins are going to do very well. And Bitcoin is going to make a new all-time high, and people are going to get excited, and they will be back. And once they are back, it will be one of the signs that it's time to start taking profits repeatedly on the way up, laddering out without trying to catch the top, right? Just like we've done in the past cycles. But anyway, every single bear market is ended. This bear market is no different. Will it get worse? It probably will. If you ask me personally, like I said, I'm 50% in, and I don't think the bottom is in. I think we will go lower. I think Bitcoin will crash roughly 65%, give or take. We're already down 55%. And I think XRP is going to crash roughly 77, 78%, give or take, before the bottom comes in. But we're nearly there. Like I said, we're much closer to the end of the bear market than the beginning of it in terms of percentage drops. PA wise, like when we talk about dollar valuations, it might be a little bit scary for some people because people get excited over like, $5,000 move on Bitcoin, which really isn't a big move these days, Back in the day when we were trading at $3,000 and there was a $5,000 move, that was exciting. But now when we're at like 60, 65K and it goes up, 10% or 5%, it's not a big deal. Anyway, I'm here to be positive, right? I'm here to be positive. The way I look at these further potential crashes is that it's opportunity to buy more. It's a good thing. Like I keep saying, there's no such thing as a bear market. There are buying opportunities. This is exactly what it is. It's an opportunity to buy at a huge discount. So be grateful, be positive, be excited, be cheerful. And then further down the road, when this accumulation phase ends and we start going up, that's when we should start being sad, because we can no longer accumulate. And if we can't accumulate, you just have to be aware of the fact that the ROI is going to be smaller and smaller. The higher we go, the smaller it's going to become, right? So sure, you can buy further down the road. Like you can even buy in 2 years when the majority of the market cycle is over. But you just have to, be aware of the fact that your ROI is not going to be big. As long as you're fine with that and you're even willing to take like a 30% profit years down the road, it's fine, as long as you're realistic about it. Like, don't expect to buy, in 2 years' time and then expect like a 300 or 500% gain or 1,000% gain, depending on what point we're talking about here. That's just not going to happen. If you want those kind of gains, it's time to buy here and in Q4 this year or Q1 next year, probably. If the market lets us buy lower, once again, based on historic percentage drops, it should happen where percentage-wise close to the bottom. Once again, I expect roughly a 66% crash for Bitcoin. So far, it's down 55%. It has been following the setup, the bottom setup we've been talking about since 110K, to the T, very well. And XRP, same thing. I said I expect roughly a 77, 78% drop. Biggest drop I can see is like 80%, maybe like 81%, 82. But like I said, roughly 78, 77 is good enough to go in heavily and buy more. But we're already down 72 and a half. So time to start accumulating, guys, and looking for better opportunities. Be aware of that. This is where you plant the seeds. Like I said, in the roughly 65 cents to the $1 range for XRP, and for Bitcoin is 50% to 65% crash in between that. Just look at the top and measure the percentage drop, and you'll see what I'm referring to in terms of dollar valuation. Okay, let's see what you're saying, guys. Matthew, it's good to see you here, brother. Matthew says, "Hey, Rob, the weekend is almost here." Yep, absolutely. It's here. I'm going to go hit the gym after this, and I'm going to have a few cold beers, and relax. Michael is saying, "Hey, Rob, thanks, man. Glad to be in North Carolina to hear this morning." This morning. Okay. Mike, it's great seeing you here. Thank you for joining. I hope you're having a great time in North Carolina. Apparently nature is beautiful there, right? I've never been there, but I've seen pictures, and it looks beautiful. Oh, Bumansur, it's good to see you here, my friend. It's been a while. Hi, Rob. I have a silly question. I have some money right now. Should I buy USD and place buy orders, or wait for the right time to buy USD and then buy coins? I think you can just buy USD further down the road and then buy coins. If you ask me, it's better to minimize, your exposure to any stable coin, no matter how good it is, because no stable coin is truly stable. So yeah, I would say just buy USDT or USDC when you need to, and then buy the crypto projects that you're interested in. Okay, JK is saying it will take another 10 years before we see prices rise. I would disagree with that, Jay. Why do you think that? I study markets every single day from dusk till dawn. I look at charts. I look at a lot of things I don't even talk about, like the stock market, precious metals. I mean, I mentioned them when it's important to see a bottom come in or a top come in, and like sentiment. But I don't see exactly what's the theory behind 10 years. Could you please share that with me? Because if it's something coherent, I will definitely check it out, and I'm more than willing to learn to see if you're onto something. For me, so far, I know very simply that the roughly 4 year cycles have been working out. Not the 4 year cycles like people say, but the roughly 4 year cycles. So as always, it can be 3 years and 9 months. It can be 4 years and 3 months. But roughly 4 years. So that together with the percentage increase, diminishing returns, all that, I don't know. Everything seems on track until that stops working. I don't see why we need to change anything. It predicted the top the last 3 times. This is my fourth market cycle, and let's see. Um, Matthew saying, I screwed up the last bull market and foolishly didn't take profits, despite being a patron subscriber since 2023. I foolishly listened to other influencers and YouTubers. Big lesson learned. Listen to Rob. Matthew, cheers, brother. I'm sorry that that's the case. Uh, Everybody messes up sooner or later. Like, don't forget, before I came to crypto, I was into penny stocks. I made some money there, and before that happened, I completely destroyed my account twice. The money wasn't big, but I learned a lot from that, and that's where I pretty much learned the methods that I used to do. Right, so it's fine as long as you learn and you become better, and that helps you to not do that again. It's fine. Mistakes happen. Not a big deal. So just very important, I would say, in this market cycle. Like I keep saying, price target, that's so wonderful, but you must be willing to completely trash those price targets and take whatever the market is giving you in the moment, right? So once again, if we're roughly 4 years in, Bitcoin has more than made a new all-time high. Some coins have either pumped well or come close to their all-time highs and made all-time highs. It would be an amalgamation of everything, a mix of everything. Uh, and nothing grand is happening with your coins. While the other coins, you suck it up, you sell, and you go. You take the profits that the market gave you, right? That's why I also think it's very important in this market cycle to be 50% into Bitcoin, which I am, because Bitcoin has proven to be the most predictable coin out there. And alts, there are some alts that are also more predictable than others, like, for example, XRP, but it's still not as predictable as Bitcoin. Bitcoin has consistently done pretty much what I expected it to do for the past 3 cycles. And now again, it's dropping the way I expected. Let's see if the bottom comes in at roughly 66, 65%. If that happens again, that once again proves that it's predictable. And then once the bottom comes in, we'll be talking about where the top comes in on Paychain, right? And I'm pretty sure we will come quite close to it because we've done that every single time with Bitcoin so far. Not once have this method faltered. So let's see if it works a fourth time, right? I think it will. Let's see. But Matthew, it's okay, right? Trial and error, my friend. It's okay. You got one more cycle. Jay is saying we expect the adoption of the Clarity Law. I see. The way I look at it, Jay, in terms of the whole Clarity Act, I think it's good long term. Definitely, I think it's going to help us mature as a market, become less volatile. At the same time, that means less volatile means less good buying opportunities and smaller profits. But in the long run, of course, like if you're the kind of person that just wants to buy, say, Bitcoin and hold it for 20 years, yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. If you're the kind of person like me that wants to play market cycles, it's not really a good thing because this huge ROI is going to be gone, right? Just like it is kind of gone out of the stock market. Like the last 3 years, stock market has been going like crazy. Even 2 years, I would say, only 2 years. The stock market has been going crazy. The crazy part is that crypto didn't catch on, right? But we know why that happened because of all those millions of coins that diluted the space. People basically pumping and dumping, and just people getting scammed. So I understand why a lot of people turned away from crypto. I just really hope that this stops. I really hope that basically the Clarity Act or whatever, some laws come in that get rid of these terrible coins and terrible projects that are really just there just to pump and dump, like all this pump fund nonsense, So yeah. Simon, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Make Mills. Hey there, brother. So yeah, I just basically want to talk about mm, ignore any basically scary narratives. We're starting to get some bad narratives. We always know that it's a good thing. I mean, don't let these narratives scare you. We know that basically, we know that two exchanges are shutting down, stopping all operations, ceasing all operations. We know that, CZ Binance was saying that, at 120K and 110K, when I got out of the market, and I was saying that that's it, the top is in, the market cycle is finished. He kept saying like once again, I like the guy. I'm nothing against him. I'm just talking about facts here. CZ was saying that basically we'll probably have a super cycle because that was a very popular thing to talk about back then, right? And I kept saying there's not going to be a super cycle. That's it. The cycle's over. Now we're starting a new cycle, and we're entering what is commonly referred to as the bear market, but I don't call it the bear market. We're waiting for the drop to get to the accumulation phase, right? And you know, some people had a problem with that, and the CZ now basically after 55% Bitcoin drop and a 72% XRP drop and an 85% drop on some altcoins is saying that basically perhaps we are in a bear market. This is a wrong mindset. The reason why I have an issue with that is because saying things like that is basically kind of scares investors and people, right? People look up to him. So instead of saying something like that, what he should be saying is that I was wrong. There is no super cycle. The roughly 4 year cycle worked out again, and we know historically that buying Bitcoin after 55% crash and XRP after 72% crash has never been the bottom, but it has always been a great buying opportunity long term and has always resulted in profits. Something like that would be good. That's what people need to hear. So yeah, we're getting the kind of narratives you want to hear, the kind of news we want to hear. That's good. That's good. I'm thinking maybe once, if it happens, my expectations of Bitcoin dropping roughly 65% from the top, and let's say somewhere there we get some kind of I don't know, headline saying that MicroStrategy has gone down, or I don't know, like Michael Saylor went bust, something like not that I wish it for anyone. That's not my point. It can be something completely different. So if we get something like that in unison with a roughly 65% Bitcoin drop from the top, I mean 126K, that would be the ideal scenario. Of course, it doesn't need to happen because in the past cycles we would always top on euphoria, on excitement, things pumping, kind of all seasons or some kind of semblance of an all season. Now, the last cycle we topped without euphoria, we topped without excitement. The only thing that truly made a new all-time high was Bitcoin, and it was the worst cycle in the history of crypto. So that being the case, we don't need scary narratives. The bottom can come in just quietly without anything major happening. Of course, that's possible. Jay is saying, I predict that Bitcoin could fall to 20 to 25K. I mean, of course, Jay, I will say never in crypto. Of course, it could happen. Of course, it could happen. Anything can happen in crypto. But I always ask myself, how likely is it to happen? I would say not very likely, because we have to follow the facts that are before us, right? We have to look at the trends. It's not like what we wish for, it's what's been happening. So if we look at Bitcoin, crashes have been diminishing. It has been 93% crash, 84% crash, 77% crash, and now a roughly 65% crash would make sense because every single time there's roughly like a 10% difference, give or take. So to make it easier, for example, for people to understand, let's just round up these crashes, right? Not 93 or 84, but let's make it so 95% crash, 85% crash, 75% crash, and 65% crash. So that means, the 60 can be either 62, it can be 68, it can be 69, but I'm making a point here, right? So 95, 85, 75, 65. That there's a pattern, right? There's a pattern here, especially if it happens in accordance with the time frames the way it happened in the past. Once again, it confirms the probability that that's probably a bottom there. And if we basically measure a 65% drop from all-time highs, it does not take us to 20 to 25K. I personally, if you ask me what my opinion is, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think 20 to 25K is happening. I do not think so. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Is it likely? I would say it's unlikely. Let's see. Thomas Horton, good to see you here, my friend. Thomas is saying, do you think there will be a euphoria phase at the end of the cycle? It's hard to say, Thomas. You live, you learn. And one thing we learned is that, and there's another trend that I've noticed, is on my first cycle here, absolutely everything pumped. Second cycle, I would say like maybe 50% of things pumped. And then the last cycle, nearly nothing pumped, right? So this cycle around, I believe that a lot of alts will be obliterated and wiped out. But also at the same time, I believe that since the last cycle was so bad, a lot of people left crypto, and therefore, therefore the money's out of crypto. And when things start pumping and some altcoins come alive, they'll be pumping them by basically foaming back in and rushing back in. So I think it was like the psychological warfare that happened, right? Yes, many alts will get obliterated, but there are also some alts where people say that are dead and that will never recover or won't do well, which will do well and probably even outperform uh, what we expect to happen, right? Like our expectations, basically. Me, I just prefer to keep it conservative, right? I prefer to, like, let's say if there's a possibility of 900% pump, I'm going to go with 650 and get out of the market, because taking profits early always ensures, you know, good profit taking habits and basically making sure that you get out before the top comes in. Because I always say, don't try to measure the bottom, don't try to measure the top. Don't try to time bottoms and tops. Just buy low, sell high, and the market gives you the opportunity to buy lower and sell higher, right? So that's what we did. Bitcoin has crashed to 55%, we bought low. XRP has crashed 72%, we bought low. Now, if it's going to give us the opportunity to buy lower and crash further, we're going to buy lower. Same thing we're going to do when the market recovers to start pumping. Like, for example, if you were a member, I'm not sure, on Patreon, you know that last cycle we bought, cycle before that we bought in the 15 cent to 30 cent range. Then this last cycle we bought in the 30 cent to the 55% range. And then I started selling at $1 and between $1 and $2 and between $2 and $3. And as high as, like, I think $3.20 or something like that. Maybe $3.50 was the best one. And then I sold everything at $2.80 and $2.55. So the point I'm trying to make is that you don't have to top the exact bottom and the exact top, right? So exact bottom was 28 cents. The exact top was $3.66, right? Let's be honest. Nobody bought the bottom and sold the top. But there were people like me who bought after big crashes, ladder in at new lows, held, and then started taking profits systematically on the way up without trying to catch the top, right? That's the way I see it. So, but anyway, Thomas, to see whether or not there'll be euphoria phase, it's hard to say. I think we will know once we see the reaction of coins. Like, once the bottom comes in and we transition into the bull market phase, right? When basically there's a reversal, that's it. We're not making new lows, lower lows and lower highs, but we're making higher highs and higher lows, and we're basically in a macro uptrend and macro ascending channel. Once we get to that point, and then we see a lot of coins are reacting, that will give us a better understanding of whether or not there will be a euphoria phase. Because if we suddenly see that, once again, not many coins are doing anything, they're just like a few leaders, and then maybe a year later, a few other coins join them, well, then the likelihood is not very big. But if we suddenly see the reaction, like all across the market, and we see that it's many coins pumping together, and we see that people are pumping and rushing into like quality projects, not some complete garbage, like some dog, cat, moon kind of nonsense. But let's say like quality projects, utility-driven projects are being pumped. That will probably once again tell us that there's a potential for euphoria phase, because people are tired of the, excuse my French, I'll just say it, of the dog shit, basically. And they learned the lesson. Now they're here. They have done their research, and they're putting money into quality projects, because kind of the same approach that they've been using before, and the same approach they use with stocks, right? So they start looking at the crypto market the same way they start looking at the stock market. So if we see that these quality projects are pumping while basically all the garbage is not doing anything, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Anyway, my friends, thank you very much for joining. Members, if you missed the emails or if you didn't see the notification come in, please kindly make sure you go and read the updates, okay? Here's the link. I already had a few members. I'm not telling you off, guys, or anything. Just remind. I already had a few members saying that they missed the updates or they joined again just recently and missed some buys. You still have the time to execute the buys now. We're still at the same levels. So execute those buys if you haven't. and we await better entries. And we remain patient. Remember that every single bear market ends, and we transition to the bull market. And then remember that every single bull market ends, my friends. That's the way cycles move. Every bull market ends, every bear market ends. All right, thank you very much. Please kind of put a like. Yeah, share the live on X if you can, please. And love you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time. Stay safe. Bye-bye.